Picking up on what you've got to say on this, Jim, I think the narrative and attention should turn to how far down we're going to go, not whether inflation has peaked. Do you reckon the chairman's going to reinforce that on Wednesday?
Yeah, I do. I think that that's been kind of his main message that's been lost. I mean, we've got everybody yelling peak, peak, peak. And yeah, inflation has peaked, but it wasn't going to stay at 9% forever. The real question is can it get to the Fed's long-run goal of 2% on its own without a recession? If that can happen, and still the 3-month rate on core inflation is still 3%, so it even hasn't achieved it yet. But if it can happen, then we could definitely see the Fed back off. But if we wind up seeing inflation bottom at a level like 3.5%, and then the base effects that are pushing it down by July start turning higher, then I think the Fed is going to be reinforced on this idea that they have to stay higher for longer and maybe even visit the terminal rate at that point.
Well, Jim, there's another question to put to this, and I think it addresses what you're trying to look at. It's whether unemployment, which is currently at 3.5%, needs to climb through 4.5% or maybe even higher to get inflation somewhere in the vicinity of 2%. Do you think it does?
Well, yeah, I think that is the key. The Fed has invented a new statistic called Services X Shelter to look at inflation, and that is driven by employment. But the problem with employment is, if you look at the big headline numbers, initial claims at a 9-month low, 10.2 million open jobs, 3.5% unemployment rate, like you said, there's very little evidence that there's a problem in the labor market now. Now, maybe one develops, and if the one is going to develop and we're going to get a 4.5% inflation rate or unemployment rate, say by mid-late year, that's a gigantic leap in the unemployment rate in 1 year. That would be not a soft landing. That would probably be a bigger than average recession to get it to rise that much over that short a period of time.